Their big dog, Cujo, has been caged. A top defenseman disabled. And a second-line sniper shelved. So the shorthanded Leafs have turned to a super Swede for solace. Leaf captain Matt Sundin, with some veteran help, has the savvy and skill to get them through troubled times. But tonight the test for Toronto gets tougher. Backup Corey Schwab skates into the Joe against hockey's version of Murderers Row. The veteran-laden Wings have won 6 in a row and shown mercy to few. Tonight, the ultimate test for Toronto's depth and determination. A matchup with the Wings is next on the net.
Labatt Blue, NHL Game Night on Rogers Sportsnet.
This has been a milestone season for the Detroit Red Wings. Brett Hull got his 1,200th point. Luc Robitaille became the highest scoring left winger in the history of the game. Brendan Shanahan has already got to 500 assists, 1,000 points, and tonight he goes for his 500th goal as the Red Wings host the Leafs on Sportsnet at the Joe. Hello again, everyone. I'm Jim Hughson along with Craig Simpson. Welcome to Labatt Blue Game Night from the Joe Louis Arena. Sold right out for the 224th consecutive game. You've heard about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the adversity they're facing with players missing from their lineup, but I think they're probably better prepared to deal with that now than they have been at any other time. They've got a number of free agent veterans in their lineup, and Matt Sundin, their captain at 31 years old, looks better now than he ever has been. I don't think his point total will be the highest of his career, but maybe he's playing the best hockey of his career.
Well, I think he's the most complete player that he's ever been throughout his career, and you're right, he's been leading this team at both ends of the ice. During the Olympics, he was the best player in the tournament, leading everybody in points. He's come back, has been strong. 2 goals against the Buffalo Sabres to force a tie. I think more importantly, though, Jim, he's showing the kind of leadership that everyone expects. I think everyone on that bench knows that Sundin is going to go out there, make something happen, and this is a critical time for him to do so.
Well, Craig, this would be the stiffest test for the Leafs without Curtis Joseph tonight. And Corey Schwab will be in goal for the 4th consecutive game. What an opportunity for a 31-year-old who didn't have a contract coming into this season. Boy, if he can buy this team some time until Curtis Joseph gets back, he will have earned a long-time job in the organization.
Well, I think that's the critical factor. You know, you look for opportunity in your career. Schwab is getting it right now. He's getting better with every game. First star performance at Washington. The key in tonight's game, don't be worried about who's at the other end in Hasek. Be focused on the shooters and where they're coming from for the Detroit Red Wings. Look for him to really control his rebounds to have success.
Well, the Maple Leafs may be short-handed tonight, but the Red Wings aren't, and neither are we. We have our full crew assembled at Hockey Central. Here they are, led by Darren Dreger.
Jim, thank you very much. We'll talk more on that goaltending issue in Toronto in just a moment. We have Scott Morrison, John Garrett, Nick Kypreos, part of the NHL Game Night crew. And Chris Simpson also hooks up with Wayne Gretzky, where, among other things, he talks about the possibility of returning to the Olympic program in 2006.
If I get asked and if the pro players go, it would be something I'd strongly consider. I think it's the greatest thrill in the world, and I've always loved representing Canada.
All right, Nick, since Jim and Craig talked about the goaltending issue in Toronto, is it a good opportunity for Corey Schwab, or is Pat Quinn prepared to deal with that luxury?
Well, despite what Pat Quinn's been saying, we do know he's been shopping around for a goalie. How aggressive he is remains to be seen. One of the players is Trevor Kidd that he is inquiring about now. We know that the Florida Panthers would love to hold out for a significant draft choice in return. Scott, it's just a question of whether the Leafs nibble or not.
Florida really wants to move quickly. If they can land Kidd with another team, they want to clear some salary because they want to do some shopping in the offseason. The Leafs were looking to upgrade in goal before Curtis Joseph got hurt. They'd love to be able to ride this out with Santomo and Schwab.
We'll get John Garrett's thoughts as well coming up after one period of play. No goaltending issue in Motown, no doubt about it. Dominik Hasek is the man. He's made that clear, though cupless he has proven. Toronto's Corey Schwab is out to prove there is no urgency for trade in Toronto. Brendan Shanahan's search for 500 may fuel that fire. The Wings and the Leafs next.
It's a battle of 2 of the original 6, the Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's meet the starting goaltenders. Brought to you by Tim Hortons. Roll up the rim to win with millions of prizes available, including 20 GMC Envoys. So get rolling. 31-year-old Corey Schwab from North Battleford, Saskatchewan is thrust into the spotlight as the Leafs' #1 goalie. 1-1-1 since Curtis Joseph got hurt. Dominik Hasek has 35 wins. May well be on his way to a 7th Vezina, at the very least another podium finish. Rob Schick from Port Alberni, BC. Stephen Walkham, who did such a great job at the Olympics, from North Bay, Ontario, are the referees tonight. And Gerard Gauthier and Brian Murphy work the lines. In the absence of Steve Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov will get a lot more ice time, and he's the starting center for Scotty Bowman. Brendan Shanahan at 499 goals on the left wing, Chris Draper on the right, against the Maple Leafs top line of Matt Sundin, Jonas Höglund, and Michael Renberg as the puck leaves the playing surface. But Corey has played 117 games in the NHL. He's not a raw rookie. He's been around for a few years. He's never beaten the Red Wings, though, 0-3 against them. And you have to know he knows what's at stake here, not only for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but for his career. This is a tremendous opportunity.
Well, you think if he gets a chance to play, say, 10, 15 games, maybe more, and do well and flourish and keep the Leafs in the race, you're right. In today's game with 30 teams and everyone hungry for a backup, that could mean another 4 or 5 years in a good career.
Here's Darcy Tucker with a shot, and he didn't miss by much. Tucker, Morrison on the ice, but Brendan Shanahan has the puck. He moves in and shoots, and he hits the side of the net. Many of the fans behind the goal thought he had 500.
Yeah, the arms went up, didn't they?
Sergei Fedorov, Draper, and Shanahan work for the puck. Ty Domi, Morrison, and Tucker. And the play is offside. The puck was just over and back. We passed the midway mark of the first period. No score. Toronto and Detroit on Sportsnet.
In your time, you've seen big change, had big heroes, and big ideas. You made a big noise. You loved big, you laughed big, you lived big moments. Are you going to settle for small now? The Chevrolet Impala, big where it really matters, inside. Canadians are in the thick of a playoff race. The Buffalo Sabres would like to get back into it as well. On Friday night, you'll see the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens with Doug Gilmour playing ever so well up against each other. 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific on Labatt Blue Game Night.
Again, there continues to be a lot of line juggling by Pat Quinn. That Tucker-Corson line has been on and off a few times. Now we've got Larry on up against the Sun.
Okay, so this is great. We find out all the details. We finalized everything. So let's proceed forward. And you know what? It's a great opportunity. So I'll get them to look at this in the morning. And I suppose you're going to want this in writing.
Yeah, we're shook on it.
See it.
Sergei Fedorov has scored for the Detroit Red Wings. They lead 3-0 in the last minute of the first period. In their first home game in almost a month. Jonas Höglund. Michael Renberg. Sundin's in front now. Höglund, the pass hit a stick. Höglund chases the puck.
Renberg tried to set up Sundin, or at least pass him the puck, and it's cleared. Brian McCabe. Thomas Caberlet back after it. In the last 20 seconds of the first period from the Joe, Jason Williams dumps the puck back in and completes the change. Fedorov, Shanahan, Draper back on for the last shift for Detroit in this first period with some energy. And McCabe advances the puck, not fire though. Shanahan stopped it and shot the puck in, and so he'll go to the second period in search of his 500th goal. Torrey Schwab of the Toronto Maple Leafs behind Shanahan and company 3-0 after a period in Detroit. So we've assembled our crew as usual. A one-on-one interview with Wayne Gretzky is coming up with Chris Simpson in our first intermission. Our panel from Hockey Central will be there as well. It's 3-0 Detroit over Toronto. You're watching Labatt Blue Game Night on Sportsnet.
Rogers Sportsnet Ontario, home of the Senators.
The boys of summer are back and ready to play ball. Rogers Sportsnet is the home of the Jays, including Grapefruit League action. Jays on Rogers Sportsnet. Red Sox Jays, Saturday at noon.
What is Audi's vision? Absolute passion, absolute great leadership. And it goes back over 100 years. It goes back to August Moore. A total believer in advanced technology. A man who was a visionary.
They had no chance against the new technology.
When Quattro came in, we dominated the World Rally scene.
Audi turned the racing world upside down. First by introducing the race car with Quattro all-wheel drive, and second by having a woman drive it.
Michel Mouton is ahead of the field and hasn't the slightest intention of giving up her lead.
The Audi TT represents the entry into a new era. You don't control it with your head, you control it with your senses.
Respect tradition, but break from it. Took them 12 years to develop that. Aluminium is the future. Stick at it. Let's go for aluminium.
The buzzword here all week has been Audi.
Racing car. It's the most dominant performance we probably have ever seen at the launch.
There's lots of lights flashing on the dash. The winch is going down, and oh, here comes the whole back end. They can change the back end of this car in less than 7 minutes. Wheels have touched ground, 4 minutes, no, 3 minutes, 47 seconds, and out back in front.
The absolute dedication is what drives our people. We never give up. We never rest on our laurels. Never quit. Never do the expected. Never ever think that great is good enough. Never follow.
Two teams battling for playoff positions square off when Sergei Fedorov leads the Habs against their division rivals in Buffalo. Canadians, Sabres, Labatt Blue NHL Game Night, Friday at 7.
Jason Williams scored 24 goals with the Cincinnati Ducks a year ago. He scores his first NHL goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Opens the scoring for the Red Wings. They lead 3-0 after one period of play here on NHL Game Night. In studio, we have the likes of John Garrett, Scott Morrison, and Nick Kypreos, and we have to talk about Leafs goaltending. That makes sense tonight. 10 days ago, Canada reclaimed international hockey supremacy. Wayne Gretzky has thought of little else since, but has managed to avoid the public eye in the post-celebration. Tonight on Game Night, he joins Chris Simpson to talk for the first time about the decisions that were made and the hurdles crossed on the road to gold.
As executive director of the team, what is the most difficult decision you have to make?
The hardest decision I made, without question, was when I had to call Sean Burke and tell him that he didn't make the team. There's no question that he had as good a stats as anybody else that was there. I knew there'd be controversies over guys that were not picked, but I didn't realize at the time when I took the job that the biggest controversy of all was going to be a guy involved in my own hockey team in Phoenix.
On the flip side, what was the easiest decision?
Mario Captain. I was there in '98, And I knew the pressure that the players felt, and I knew the stress that the gun that the players were sort of under, and I needed someone to stand up and deflect all of that pressure. And although he wasn't 100% on the ice, he was 150% in the locker room. And with him, the other two guys, Yzerman and Sakic, really did a tremendous job. As I told all of our guys, just kind of keep an eye on those three guys. They play each game like it's a road hockey game in their backyard. They don't get too excited. They don't get too nervous. They're just ready to play. And those three guys were our real leaders. And so naming Mario captain was my easiest decision.
We all know the team got off to a pretty rocky start. And then, after the game against the Czech Republic, we saw a very angry Wayne Gretzky. Where did that anger come from?
Well, I think basically each and every time we walked in the arena, I heard something different. And probably the last time I walked in the arena before the Czech game, I had heard that Mario had not maybe left the village, but had actually left and gone home. And I just couldn't understand where all these things were coming from. And players unhappy. And so I addressed the team after that Czech game for about 15 minutes and tried to straighten everybody out. And then I went to the press conference, and I just felt that it was time that I had to show people that I'm not a player anymore, that I am somebody that was running the team, and I had to step forward for my hockey team. People talk about retirement, and I think a lot of times, and this is a great case, where I've accepted my retirement as a player, and for people still, when they hear me talk sometimes, they still look at me as a player, and it's sometimes harder for other people to accept that I've retired than it is for myself to accept that. And I was just speaking like anybody who would run a hockey team would speak. I was defending my team, I was defending what they were doing, and more importantly, probably defending the integrity of my country.
There were some people who suggested, though, that it was a calculated act on your part used to motivate the team.
No, because if anything, it was done to deflect pressure off of my team. But if you know the Olympics, the players are fans themselves, and they watch every TV show, they read every newspaper, and they read the good, the bad, they hear the good and bad. But in the Olympic Village, they seem to be very secluded. They almost live in a hut where they don't hear these things. And so the only thing I was concerned for them was that they were hearing from inside that maybe players were disgruntled and they weren't getting enough ice time, and et cetera, et cetera. So that was my concern, and that's when I addressed the team. And as far as everything else went, I was just trying to deflect the pressure from them so they could just go along and play the game.
As you're sitting up there in the stands, did you ever wish you could just throw on the skates and get out there again?
No. I mean, I wish I could play, put it that way. I mean, but I know I'm done, and so you can't turn back the clock. But there was a point in the tournament when we were 0-1 and the women's team was 3-0, and I turned to Kevin and said that my team's 3-0 and your team's 0-1. I did say that. But no, you know what? I just truly, it was something so different for me. I've never gone through this before. The emotion of just dying for every goal that was scored against you, and the excitement of every goal that you score for. And it's something incredible. I have a newfound appreciation for parents who watch their kids play, and for coaches and managers who go through this in championship games. It's a very difficult time, but fortunately we were able to prevail, and that made it all worthwhile.
Sportsnet.ca will offer more on Wayne Gretzky on Sports Central Prime Time. You logged on for the opportunity to ask Wayne a question, like who his choices were for the shootout. The great one gets interactive on Sports Central Prime Time coming up after tonight's hockey game. Well, 3-0 Detroit leading the Toronto Maple Leafs after one. It's hard to point the finger at Corey Schwab, Nick, but you for one believe that the Toronto Maple Leafs have to address a goaltending issue here.
I really do. What do we got? 5 weeks till the end of the season now. You know, Corey Schwab goes out there and does backflips. Do you still want to be in a position 5 weeks from now where you have Corey Schwab as your #1 goalie in the first round? You're supposed to be a Stanley Cup contending team. Now, I really go back to training camp, guys, where really Corey Schwab got this job by default because the Maple Leafs misread their backup situation and basically gave him the job. Now all of a sudden to ask him to carry the ball in a critical situation at this point of the season, I think is unrealistic.
Well, I hate to break this to you, but I think Pat Quinn and his staff agree with you. For the first time this season, they know they have to upgrade in goal. What they're trying to do right now is buy themselves a little time before the March 19th trade deadline. They were shopping for a goaltender before Curtis Joseph got hurt. They felt they needed to upgrade in that backup position. Right now, they're hoping Schwab can get the job done over this 2-week period, perhaps with a little help from Sebastian Santomo while they shop around. And they are shopping. They've talked to Florida about Trevor Kidd. I think they've talked to Carolina about Tom Barrasso, and needless to say, other calls have been made as well.
John, is the goaltending situation in Toronto good enough to get through this stretch? No, but Pat Quinn, the coach, you can't expect him, Pat Quinn, the coach, to come out and say we're shopping around. You're telling the kid playing, and he's not a kid, you're telling the guy playing that he's not good enough. So Pat Quinn, the coach, has to say, okay, yeah, we're not shopping around, but Pat Quinn, the general manager, is on the phone knowing that he's got a 32-year-old guy, well, 31-year-old guy, who has never been a #1 goaltender, who is a good backup goaltender, and he has to carry the load, and a 19-year-old, 20-year-old in Santomo, who is untested.
And there's a couple other factors that come into play. Yuskevich, does he come back from his blood clot problem? Does Alex McGillney come back healthy and able to play? And how much do you mortgage to bring in a guy on the short term, knowing that you're going to make a run at either Curtis Joseph or a free agent in the summer? So a lot of decisions and a bigger dynamic because there's other teams shopping for goalies right now as well.
Well, do you do the unthinkable and do what you say? Maybe mortgage, go after an Eddie Belfour type of player. We can talk more. They're shaking their heads. They don't agree with this one bit. We'll talk more on that coming up after 2 periods of play here on NHL Game Night. Jason Williams, point shot off Corey Cross's toe. It's fluky, but it works. It's 3-0 Detroit.
Extreme. We dare you.
So? How about my sister?
Your sister? I mean, oh, man, your sister. Like, wow. I mean, she's really,
If you don't know how to say it, write it. Talk and text with the Nokia 3390 for just $50 and get 2 colored faceplates free.
When you travel in a country like ours, it can be an act of endurance. Knowing this, an innkeeper would welcome you, not as an occupant, but as a human being. Someone who needs privacy, a hot meal. A hotel wouldn't be a poor substitute for the office or home. It would be sanctuary. Delta, your room is ready.
That's it. Baby boy.
Hi. Hi. Look, I want to show you something. This is your mother on the way to the hospital. She had to drive because I was too nervous. These are your grandparents, and that's your mom. Holding you for the first time. Look how handsome you are. I think you look like me.
iPhoto. Shoot it, save it, share it.
you know, one thing you may see a little less of these days is suits. Personally, I'm back to them. Many of my clients, though, still like dressing casually. Professional? Sure, but casual. I help them with that, putting the right things together so they'll look as well dressed as, well, the mannequins in the window. Of course, I leave the hair thing up to them.
Well made, well priced, well dressed. Morrison.
Absolutely must-see TV. Why, do you ask? Well, Scott Morrison sits down with the coach and general manager of the Maple Leafs, that's Pat Quinn. Wayne Gretzky part of the action, and oh my goodness, outside the crease again. I thought they'd canceled that.
No.
More figure skating? Need more laughs? Tune into Hockey Central Saturday. Well, I can tell you that it'll be a good show. Why? Because Wayne Gretzky will be part of that as well. Look forward to that, and don't forget Montreal and Buffalo. That's our next game in terms of NHL game night on the 6th of March. It is a doubleheader week, so we have plenty of action going on, and we'll get you set for the second period as well. Sergei Fedorov scored goal number 2 for the Detroit Red Wings. A power play goal for the Wings on home ice, his 22nd goal of the year, but it's now 3-0, the second net.
Front of the net, the puck tipped off his stick to the corner. And the second period comes to an end with the Detroit Red Wings still in control, but only leading 4-2 after they were ahead 4-0. Sebastian Centomo made his first appearance in the National Hockey League, taking over from Corey Schwab to start the second period, and Toronto outscored Detroit 2-1 in the second. Well, that's a start. Lots of action around the league tonight. The guys will have some highlights and look at the playoff implications of the games being played tonight. You're watching Rogers Sportsnet and Toronto and Detroit on Labatt Blue Game Night.
Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs busy with the Detroit Red Wings and Joe Louis. Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton also in action. Let's go to Montreal, where the Canadiens playing host to the Boston Bruins in a Northeast Division battle. Marty McInnes making his Bruins debut. 18 seconds into the hockey game. Boston with a miscue. Joe Juneau pretty much has the open net, doesn't he? His 5th of the year, 1-0. 35 seconds later, Andreas Dackel to Juneau. 2 shots, 2 goals, his 6th, 2-0 Canadiens. Second period. Habs with a power play. Sergei Fedorov puts it away. Nice play. Yannick Perreault and Juneau. That makes it 3-2. 2:40 to go in the second period. You see Gilmore's 10th, and Montreal leads the Boston Bruins 4-2. Flames and the Washington Capitals. Jerome Iginla coming off his first career hat trick on Monday. Opening period, 1-0 Caps. Iginla with a steal up. Peter Bondra looking to move on Olaf Kolzig. His 40th of the season, ties his hockey game at 1. Second period, Peter Bondra out from behind the net. Gets a couple of whacks at it. He beats Roman Turek. 2-1 Capitals, his 2nd of the game. Clark Wilm will break in here shorthanded. Good effort. He gets through Bondra, beats Kolzig. His 4th of the year, ties it at 2. It is still tied at 2. 7 minutes to go in the third. Bondra, 2 goals. There's 2 defensive blunders, the cause of both Calgary goals, as you just saw. Edmonton and Tampa Bay. Tommy Salo of the Oilers facing the Lightning. First period, Tampa with a man advantage. Brad Richards' shot off the head of Salo. Dave Andreychuk grabs the rebound. His 12th, 1-0 second period. Ryan Smith to Steve Stas. His point shot gets deflected past Habby Boulin. 4th of the year for him, ties it at 1. Still in the second, Yanni Niemann's point shot through traffic makes it 2-1 Oilers. We have an update there. They are through 40 minutes of play in Tampa Bay. Vinny Prospal with his 13th, set up by a nice chip pass from Dave Andreychuk, ties it at 2 as they get ready for the third period of play in Florida. Other action to pay attention to tonight, the Dallas Stars and the Los Angeles Kings. Marty Turco in goal for the Stars, and Ed Belfour not happy about that, obviously. Yuri Letman's 11th, 1-0 Dallas, leading the Kings after 1. Anaheim and Atlanta, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim all over the Atlanta Thrashers, 3-0 after 40 minutes. And also tonight, Columbus and the Colorado Avalanche. Joe Sakic, 7 points in 4 games, 1 loss in the last 6 for the Avs. It is 0-0 in the opening period. As we go to break, we take you down Sportsnet's Time Tunnel. Each of these events happened in the same year. Do you remember when? Detroit Red Wings goaltender Chris Osgood becomes only the 3rd goalie in NHL history to score a goal as he shot the puck into an empty Hartford Whalers net. And with 83 points, Toronto Maple Leaf center Matt Sundin leads the team in scoring for the 2nd of 7 straight years. What year was it? 1994, 1995, or 1996? The answer when we return. Rogers Sportsnet is pleased to announce Nick, Scott, John, and I agreed just minutes ago to a contract to continue this panel through the summer. Baseball is really our strong suit, isn't it? Yes. Relax, Blue Jay fans. There is no chance of that happening. No, we're proud to have on board Rob Paul, John Cerruti, and Ashley Herod to try and keep it professional. A talented crew who join us on NHL Game Night for a preview of what is to come.
Lately, the weather in Florida has been better for Panthers or Lightning, but now this is baseball weather, and we can talk about the Toronto Blue Jays.
John, the Jays made some off-season changes beginning in the general manager's office.
Yes, J.P. Ricciardi came from Oakland. He's the new GM. There are a lot of young, new faces with this ball club. It's a nice mix. That's what I really like about the Toronto Blue Jays this year. They have a lot of young, talented players trying to make their mark here at the major league level. And, of course, mixed with the veterans like Delgado, Mondesi, and Cruz. The enthusiasm of these rookies should help push the veterans, and the veterans should lead these youngsters. It should be a very exciting team to watch.
The man who's masterminding it all is J.P. Ricciardi, and he's with the third member of our broadcast team and the host of J Zone, Ashley Harrod.
So sitting down with J.P., let's talk about the Blue Jays and your new vision as the new general manager with the team.
Well, we're excited. I mean, we have a young group and tied in with a veteran group that really is not a group that's had a ton of major league experience. So, you know, we're going to have to fabricate ourselves between the young and the old, and I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to surprise some people.
So you're coming in here as the fourth general manager of the Blue Jays, and you're known as a general manager that is really one-on-one with players. You've got a lot of experience with working with players, and you have a lot of knowledge of the sport. Tell me how that's going to change the face of the Blue Jays.
Well, I think it's important that you have a working relationship with the players. I think it's important that, you know, they know where you're coming from. I think you need to share your ideas with them so that they understand there's a method to your madness. And I think anytime you do that, and it's just like in any other business, you want to have communication lines and you want to be able to keep people abreast as to what's going on. And, you know, I'm going to take pride in being able to get to know the players and being able to let them know where I'm coming from.
Great. So we're down here, spring trading, Dunedin. Let's talk about who your prospects are right now. Who's looking hot?
Well, I think Eric Hinske has done really well. You know, we've only played 4 or 5 games, and his at-bats have been great. I think, you know, what we're looking for is, we're not looking for big numbers from guys right now. We're just looking for consistency. He's done well. Vernon Wells has done well. I think Felipe's done a great job at shortstop. You know, the veterans are really going at their pace a little bit right now. Kevin Cash, some of our younger kids have really been impressive. So, you know, as a Toronto Blue Jay fan, I'd be very excited about the young group that we got coming through.
JP, thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful season.
Thank you, Ashley.
As the season begins, though, John, the key might be pitching.
It is, Rob. J.P. Ricciardi has said they're going to surprise a lot of teams. In order to do that, they're going to have to pitch a lot better than they did last year. And I think Roy Halladay and Chris Carpenter really have to continue what they did in the second half of last year and lead that pitching staff.
We're looking forward to it. We'll have spring training action for you on Saturday. I'm not sure if it's an SPF 15 or 20, but we'll be ready.
Well, you'll get a good look at Rob Faulds and John Cerruti over the course of the year. He's doing over 100 games. Rogers Blue Jays baseball continues with the preseason. Boston and Toronto join us for that. Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, except for those viewers in Montreal. Well, as promised, we should revisit the goaltending conversation of the Toronto Maple Leafs. 4-2 now after 40 minutes. And a goaltending change. Corey Schwab out after the first, and Sebastian Zentomo in.
A lot less pressure when you put a kid in and scores 3-0. He knows that no matter how he plays, he's not going to blow the game. But you're taking the chance that he might, the 3-0 game, turn into an 8-0 game, and then he won't be ready for Saturday night in Montreal. And I bet Pat Quinn plays Zentomo, starts him in Montreal Saturday night, see what he can do.
Well, they've seen what Corey Schwab can do over the course of the season, and certainly in the past week. They had to see how this kid could perform. He may find himself back in the minors before long, because I have to think that with the events of tonight, the Leafs are looking to make a deal, and they're only really a serious small group of goaltenders available that they'd be kicking the tires at this point. Trevor Kidd in Florida, we know there've been conversations there. Tom Barrasso now with Carolina because of the Kevin Weeks deal going from Tampa to Carolina yesterday. I think that forces their hand there. And then you can go Mike Vernon. We know there's been conversations with Calgary on that.
I got to still wonder how the Leafs paint themselves in this picture with Curtis Joseph. For Pat Quinn, all he's given you is about 40 playoff games over the last 3 years. Major contributor to your gold medal. I mean, how do the Leafs end up in this predicament?
We'll see how it goes. 4-0 at 1 point. The Detroit Red Wings leading the Toronto Maple Leafs at Joe Louis Arena. It is a tighter game now. Larionov scored a goal in the second, and he also gives one back here. Matt Sundin with perfect draw weight. 4-2 in the third is next.
Towards the bench, no, he'll stay in here. Hoagland snaps the shot. Hasek makes the save. Pavel Datsyuk moves the puck. Now Shanahan heads off, and that'll be it. Here's Brett Hall. Spins. He's with Devereaux and Datsyuk. Hasek was probably thinking, I want the assist on that goal. I'm going to kick that one up. Yeah. Half a minute to go. And the Red Wing machine continues to roll.
And Jim, another great example of this is a well-balanced hockey club. Without their captain, Steve Yzerman, no panic. Igor Larionov all of a sudden becomes much more significant with Yzerman gone. He got a big goal tonight. And the Red Wings just continue to be the toast of the NHL.
Fans are on their feet into Joe, as they so often are for this great team. Win number 36 for Dom. Win number 45 for the Red Wings. Detroit has taken care of Toronto 6-2. The Labatt player of the game is brought to you by Labatt Blue. A whole lot can happen out of the blue. Our player of the game is Sergei Fedorov, who scored a pair of goals, his 22nd and 23rd of the season. Lots of ice time in the absence of Steve Yzerman. That second goal, 38 seconds into the third period, sealed the deal. Sergei Fedorov is our Labatt Blue player of the game. Now it's time for tonight's Sportsnet Game Breaker, brought to you by CSA International. We answer with solutions.
Well, Luc Robitaille, like he's done so many times, on the doorstep, power play goal, that chases Corey Schwab and gives the Red Wings a 3-0 lead.
Power play goal late in the first, and the Red Wings toast another victory. 6-2 is the final score as the Wings win their 45th and defeat their arch rivals from Toronto. For Craig Simpson, this is Jim Hughson. Thanks for tuning in to Labatt Blue Game Night. Sports Central is next.